So I just got back from this sort of family reunion thing, I guess. So my grandmother has just gotten, well, not just gotten, but has a boyfriend, a new boyfriend who it's kind of a strange thing at her age, but she's been single for like pretty much as long as I've known her, probably longer than that. So I'm happy for her. Um, I never really knew who my actual grandfather was, so it's not like this is a huge change in my life or anything. But since he kind of entered into our lives, he's a big family person. Like he's almost like a Disney character. Like he has these really strong family values. So ever since he's entered into our lives, he just kind of like wants to hang out with us all the time. And so since he kind of showed up, we probably hung out like 6 or 7 times now. And when I say we, I mean they, because I've bailed out of pretty much every single one of them, except for the first time that we met him. And so, I finally showed up this time. So when I walk in, I kind of sit on the couch and it's just me and my siblings there, and they're, having some conversation. I'm just kind of sitting there being quiet the entire time. And he turns to me and he's like, "Hey, son, I haven't seen you in a long time. What have you been what have you been up to?" And I was just kind of like, "Oh, it's just work, I guess. I'm a real busy person." And he replied, "Oh man, that's not good. You really got to make time to spend with your family because you only got one family and you only get to have one life with them. Blah blah blah, all that platitude stuff." And I mean, yeah, I agree with him. As cliched as his little speech was, but I don't know, man. It's a little bit complicated, I guess. I definitely get the feeling because like you kind of have your family with you your entire life. You never really feel like an urgency to hang out with them and spend time with them. Because it's like, why would anything ever change? And then one of them kicks the bucket and it's like, oh shit, I wasn't expecting that. And, something like that happened with my grandfather recently, my grandfather on my mother's side. He was like in critical state in the hospital and we were getting like text updates. And honestly, I was thinking, he's that old. Like, how is he going to recover from something like this? And I was waiting on the text to come that he's passed away, but it never came, and somehow he pulled through. He's doing all right now, and so I'm pretty thankful for that. But yeah, I do get the feeling of you got to spend as much time with them as possible because you never know when it's going to be taken away from you. But at the same time, my family kind of, I guess because I've known these people my entire life, I feel like I have certain emotions tied with them. I really don't know how to explain it, but it's like I don't know if I would say that I was always like this, like, quiet and socially awkward or whatever. But every single like family gathering that I can remember, I've been awkward, socially awkward and very quiet. And so hanging out with my family, I kind of like regress to that mental state back to when I was just like wouldn't speak a word. And the thing is, I've made a lot of progress, since way back then. Like from the outside, I'm looking in, I'm still extremely awkward, and a lot of people would still describe me as quiet, but I am a lot better than I used to be. But I don't know, just being with them just kind of like brings me back to that time period. And so, I was thinking to myself, I don't really know how I'm going to interact with my family once I like move out of this town. Because right now, I still live pretty much next to everybody here. And so, once I get my whole life sorted out and I finally get to move out from this godforsaken town, I don't really know. I don't think I'm gonna keep in touch with my family. Like, honestly, I feel like I'm just gonna ghost them because it's kind of almost like I just want to sever ties with my past. You know what I mean? It's not like my family's terrible or anything, but I just don't consider them friends. And if you couldn't tell, topic of today's video is family. Forgot to announce that. And so I guess the only person that I could really see myself staying in touch with is like my mom, because like despite my socially anxious brain's best efforts, she still makes an effort to like reach out to me and try and talk to me every now and then. But yeah, other than that, I really just see myself kind of forsaking everything to do with my past life, I guess, and just moving on, trying to make a new life for myself. I guess by doing that, I'll kind of like lose my old identity, and I'll be able to like transform myself. I don't fucking know, man. It's not exactly rational thinking, but that's just how I work, I guess. And so I guess the way this video is going to be formatted is I'm just going to kind of go through every immediate family member and kind of tell about my relationship with them, starting with my mom, of course, since I've mentioned her already. My mom's she's cool, she's chill. She's probably the family member that I'm closest with, purely because after all these years, she hasn't given up on trying to talk to me. Whereas I feel like all of my other, people have. And I really don't blame them for it. I'd probably give up talking to me too. I'm kind of stubborn. I guess I don't really have much to say about our relationship, but I guess moving on already to my dad. I have a very like business-like relationship with my dad. I don't really talk to him a whole lot. It's usually whenever I need something from him or he needs something from me, and then we just don't talk to each other after that. My dad kind of, well, I guess I take after my dad, my somewhat, in that my dad's kind of a quiet type. I mean, honestly, I don't know how I came out like this, because even my dad, like, he'll get loud and start talking with people who he actually knows, people who he's close with, whereas I don't really have anybody like that in my life. And my mom is very like she's a very outgoing person. I don't really want to tell you her job, but like her job is like pretty much like being loud is her job. So she's a very like extroverted person and can talk to pretty much anybody. And they somehow gave birth to me. Don't know how that happened. And they gave birth to me as well as two other siblings. So I have a younger sister who I am probably the closest with, besides my mom. Arguably, I'm closer with my sister than I am with my mom, because she's a year younger than me. A year younger than me. We pretty much spent our entire lives together. We spent half of our lives in the same room together, so we kind of had to be close. But at some point, we kind of went our separate ways, I suppose, and I think that probably happened around seventh or eighth grade. Because me and my sister we were very similar in that we tended to be a little bit quiet, a little bit on the quieter side. Actually, no, I think it was around high school that it happened. So around high school, she actually joined. It was either like Flagline or Color Yard or band or something like that. That she joined that and she found her place, and she kind of started this transformation into this weird like extroverted girl that I didn't recognize anymore. Like, I don't know what happened to my sister. She's gone now. Now I'm just stuck with this girl. Which, I mean, I'm happy for her. I love my sister, but I don't really talk to her anymore after that. Just because I can't really relate with her. We're completely different people now. And I think another thing about my sister is that she's always been kind of like she's always one-upped me. Not really intending to, but like the one thing that I had, being a quiet kid, was that I studied. Well, okay, I'm not gonna pretend like I studied hard, but I studied a little bit, and I got good grades. That was my thing. I was like the AB kid. But my sister was the A kid, right? And so I would always be like, in eighth grade, I was like, oh man, you're, damn it, fuck. I said her name. I said her name. Cut that out. But I'd be like, "Oh man, sister. You're really gonna get it this time. This algebra stuff. This is some hard stuff. Hoo hoo hoo. You're gonna have some trouble doing this." And then next year would come and somehow get like 106% A in algebra. And that happened year after year after year. And I don't know what her GPA is right now, but like it must, like I would be surprised if it was below like a 3.6, 3.7. But yeah, that was my sister. She was the she was the smart one above me. And so I guess the characteristics to characterize my sister are smarter than me and I guess more socially successful than I am. So that's her. And I also have an older brother who's like 6 years older than me, I believe. Honestly, I don't even know how old he is. But My brother, I used to have a pretty good relationship with him too. We used to like play games together. Like I used to go into his room while he's playing some stupid fucking game and just watch him for like an hour or two. And then every now and then he'd even let me play. But yeah, I guess that all changed when he went off to college and we stopped seeing each other for a while, and he just kind of like became a stranger to me. And I guess long story short, we are strangers. Like the few times that I did see him, like I don't really see him a whole lot anymore, but a few times that I did see him, I'll just kind of like nod at him, maybe say hey and whatever. But nowadays, my brother kind of like doesn't even acknowledge me. Like when we were at that family reunion, like we barely spoke a word to each other. There'd be times when I would like walk by him and I like kind of like smile at him, and he wouldn't even look at me. And I think I know where that comes from. I think it's because he did actually try to reach out to me like some time ago and try to like rekindle our little brotherly friendship that we had. But obviously I'm kind of a bitch, so I didn't exactly shoot down all of his advances, but I was just so awkward that like any of our conversations didn't really go anywhere. And so I guess he kind of like gave up on me, and that turned into not exactly rage, but kind of like dislike of me. I can see it in his eyes. I know he doesn't like me. So the things that characterize my brother are he's not, I don't think he's like as smart. In fact, he had like a lot of trouble with college actually. But he's definitely like the I almost want to call him like a Casanova. Like he's, I guess, you know what? He's a Chad. That's exactly what he is. He's a fucking Chad. Um, because back when we lived together, he would because I remember growing up with him, he would always have like these new girlfriends. And I swear it's like every 3 months he would bring home a new girlfriend. And I mean I'm pretty sure that's continuing to this day. But my brother's like a super outgoing dude. He's really charismatic, funny. Everybody fucking loves him because he's just a cool dude all around. Um, everything that I'm not. And so, in between my sister, the smart one, and my brother, the charismatic one, I'm just kind of like here. I don't know what I have to offer to the world. As for my extended family, I guess my grandfather's been, well, before he got like crippled and put in the fucking hospital, he's been trying to reach out to me and kind of try and talk to me because I guess he realizes that he's getting real old and he probably doesn't have a whole lot of years left. So he's really like hidden up his bucket list. And but yeah, up until he did get hospitalized, I would go down and hang out with him a couple of times just because he made an effort to call me and be like, hey yo, when we hanging out again. And that's my grandfather on my mother's side, and my entire mother's side is kind of like it's a little bit dotty. My I guess I'll talk about like my grandmother, who passed away. My grandmother and my grandfather owned a church a long time ago, and that's kind of like where I would meet my quote unquote family, because I don't know if we actually had very many blood relatives on my mother's side, but we did have a huge like a social circle. Just because my grandmother and grandfather were like these really like devout Christians, they're like missionaries and stuff, and they would go out and do like all the homeless shelters and send people out overseas to do some weird shit. I don't know what they did overseas, but they would have like fundraising events to send people overseas, and I guess like spread the word of God to like African villages and shit. So yeah, there were a lot of people who knew my grandmother, and by extension, a lot of people who are considered family. It was actually pretty incredible. Because I don't think, like, even to this day, I really understand the scope of what my grandmother did. And I'm talking about her specifically, for no particular reason other than I guess she's the dead one. But at her funeral, I remember, I don't know how many people normally show up to a funeral, but I remember walking in and just being absolutely fucking amazed at the amount of people that showed up. Like it was genuinely incredible. Like I remember looking at it, like this vast, giant fucking room, like filled to the brim with people. Like every single seat was taken, and like I didn't know who most of those fucking people were, but like I guess my grandmother was just such like a devout Christian that she spent her entire life, like dedicated her entire life to just helping people, and that seriously expanded her social circle. But like, God. I'm still in awe of how many people were at that funeral, and I honestly like I mean I don't think it's gonna happen. I'm already on the road to failure, but I would love it if I could make enough of an impact in this world to have that many people at my funeral. But the entire point of talking about my grandparents was that they owned a church, and that was kind of like my family circle, I suppose you would call it. Because I wouldn't say I was super outgoing, but I was fairly outgoing at church. But when my grandmother died, we didn't have a ride to go to church anymore, and my grandfather retired from being a pastor, so he kind of like I mean, the church is still running and everything, but he passed on the service to another dude, and he retired. So I didn't really have a a way to go to church anymore, and so I kind of like lost that entire side of my quote unquote family. And as for my dad's side of the family, I just don't get along with them. They're very, I, I don't want to call them trashy people, but they're kind of trashy people. They're very loud and kind of rude and inconsiderate or whatever. Like I'm not gonna try and pretend like they're super bad or anything, because like compared to some other people's families, like I got lucky. They're like the good trash, you know. I don't know if that makes any sense. But I just don't get along with them. We just have very, very different personalities. I guess I should maybe mention that my grandmother was somebody who I was fairly close to. Because I knew her. Actually, I don't know if I would say that, but I knew her kind of before I went all into my sort of emo phase, I suppose. I actually don't even remember when she died. I think I was maybe 14, in which case I definitely would have been in my emo phase, but for whatever reason, I felt a little bit more comfortable around her. And I think that when she died, that was kind of like my last avenue of being sort of outgoing. Because I used to be, I kind of, people used to punish me almost whenever I would be, super outgoing. Because I was just like a really nerdy and obnoxious kid. And my grandmother was one of the only people who like had a lot of patience with me and would always like listen to me when I was just talking fucking nonsense and telling about all this stupid shit. And so I never really felt stupid when I was around her. So I guess I was just always open with her. But actually, I think that's all I have to say about that. I don't really have a whole lot else to talk about in this. I will say that I seem to be the only child that kind of carries on the music legacy, which is interesting because music is a big part in my like entire mother's side of the family's life. They were big music people, and for whatever reason, that's kind of like rubbed off on me. My brother doesn't do anything musically. My sister used to sing, but doesn't really do it anymore. I'm the only one that's kind of like actively making music. I mean, if you go back to my "Why I'm an Incel" video, you can listen to all of that guitar music that I played. So yeah, I'm the one that got caught with the music bug. I don't really know what I'm gonna do with that. I mean, I feel like intelligence is a marketable factor. My sister has that. The charisma is definitely a marketable factor. My brother has that, and I got music. What am I supposed to do with this? But I don't know. I just have fun with it, so I guess I'm gonna keep doing it. Well, I guess that's all I have to say on this topic. I haven't actually recorded a video in a while, if I'm being honest with you. I don't really know what happened. I just kind of fell off of it. Actually, I think what happened was that I've been a little bit more content lately, which is kind of not the point of this channel. The point of this channel is that I'm sad and upset, but I don't know. Lately, I've been a little bit happier because I've had a little bit more purpose. I'm working on a science project right now, which I'm pretty excited for. So like growing up, I'll try to keep this quick because it's like the end of the video. I'm not trying to like extend this another 10 minutes, but growing up, science has always been like really fucking boring because science has basically been like symbols and numbers and shit and like math. And you never actually get to do any of it in person. But like now that I'm an adult and I have money, I can just like buy shit and do science experiments, like real world practical science. And so I'm building like this actual like apparatus. I don't know if you guys know what pyrolysis is, but I'm building a pyrolysis reactor, which isn't nearly as badass as it sounds, but it's still pretty fucking cool because I'm gonna be able to make some cool shit with it. And so I can't wait for all my parts to come in, and I've been working on that, been working on my music stuff, and just I've generally just kind of like had more purpose in life, so I've been been a little bit happier. Haven't really been that sad lately, so I haven't been feeling super rambly. So I kind of just like put down my microphone for a while. That feeling's still going. I'm not getting sad again. But regardless of whether I'm like sad or not, I'm still gonna keep doing videos because it is a lot of fun to kind of like update something on my life, you know. But yeah, that's all. That's all I have to say. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you guys on the next video. Peace.